Shri Hare Namaha. We shall begin the session now. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha, Shri Parama Guru Bhyo Namaha, Shri Adi Guru Bhyo Namaha, Shri Mula Guru Bhyo Namaha, Shri Mat Ananda Tirtha Bhagavat Padacharya Bhyo Namaha, Shri Vedavayasaya Namaha, Shri Bharatyai Namaha, Shri Saraswati Namaha, Shri Vayave Namaha, Shri Brahmane Namaha, Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Shri Narayanaya Namaha, Shri Hare Namaha, Mokshaprada Shri Vasudevaya Namaha, Krishnaya Vasudevaya Hare Paramatmane Pranatakleshanashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha, Krishnaya Vasudevaya Hare Paramatmane Pranatakleshanashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Granthamutirayat. Narayanam Suragurum Jagadekanatham Bhakta Priyam Sakala Loka Namaskritam Cha Traigunya Varjitam Ajamibhumadhyamesham Vande Bhagavinam Amarasura Siddhavandhyam Avikaraya Shuddhaya Nityaya Paramatmane Sadaika Rupa Rupaya Vishnave Sarvajishnave Namo Hirana Garbhaya Hariya Shankaraya Cha Vasudevaya Taraya Sargasthithyanta Karine Ekaneka Swarupaya Sthula Sukshmatmane Namaha Avyakta Vyakta Rupaya Vishnave Muktihetave Sargasthiti Vinashanam Jagatosya Jaganmaya Mula Bhuto Namastasmai Vishnave Paramatmane. So does anyone have any queries from yesterday's session? Please unmute and ask.
Thank you, Bhrata. Today I read Vishnu Purana Amsha. Yeah, I got answer. But
Okay.
I just one regarding this. Although I got answer, Varnashram Dharma, but I just one query. I can say it's a type of a discussion. Just like a Varnashrama Dharma based on Janma and Sabhavika. So according to this, Sabhavika mainly. So when we say Janma, so what about Janma and how we can recognize that?
Do you mean to ask how we can know our Aupadika Varna?
Yeah, right.
See, Aupadika Varna is determined by three things as said by Patanjali Rishi in his Mahabhashya on the Ashtadhyayi Sutras. So first of all, to determine Aupadika Varna, first is Jati, or which means birth. Now this is not the Jati or caste which is used in today's times. It's not what that term means. So the term Jati here means one's birth or one's ancestry basically. So that, and next is basically there are three factors which make one a Brahmana, for example. Now this is applicable to the other Varnas also. So for one to be recognized as a Brahmana, there are three things. That is, one is their birth, then second is their knowledge of the Shruti, that is the Vedas. Then the third thing is their Achara or conduct, basically their behavior and their qualities. And one who has that realization of Brahman or has Brahmajnana is said to be a Brahmana. So similarly for the other Varnas also, for one to be a Dvija, they have to undergo the Vaidika Samskaras, starting from the Garbha Samskaras, and then that is done when the mother is pregnant actually. And then after birth there are multiple Samskaras, and the most important one is Upanayana. So there are actually Shodasa Samskaras or 16 Samskaras, or those 16 important rituals which are done for a Dvija from birth to death. Now in today's times, barely few of them are being practiced, and Upanayana is the most important one, which grants one Dvijatva, because by birth everyone is default a Shudra. So after Upanayana, one is considered as a Dvija, and one enters the ashram of Brahmacharya to learn the Vedas under a Guru. So depending on how much education they need, they will complete their education, and then there is one more samskara after which they complete their education, and they are prepared to enter Grihastha. So after this is done, the person is suitable to be considered as a Dvija, and a proper Dvija belonging to the respective Varna, maybe Brahmana, Kshatriya or Vaishya. So for Shudras, the samskaras are done using the tantric rituals with the mantras from the tantras and the rituals as stated in the Agama Shastras. And basically Shudras are those who lack these samskaras or the Vaidika samskaras, so they are ineligible to learn the Vedas. So does that make it clear?
Yeah, so this is we can say in Treta Dwapar for them also, yeah, only for Kali Yuga.
What do you mean?
I mean to say, just like in Dwapar Yuga, family tradition was going on, or I can say Varnashrama Dharma was very prominent that time.
It was
So,
prominent in all the three yugas except Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, it slowly starts dropping.
yeah, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, in Kali Yuga, especially in our times, now the practice is almost fully gone, except except around less than 10% of the world's population. Maybe not many are following that properly. And as time progresses, now we are in the golden age of Kali Yuga. So after this golden period ends, it will drop further, and fully there won't be much practice of Varnashrama at all.
So I can say in Dwapar Yuga also, by Janma can be considered as a Shudra, but after Upanayana Samskara, they can be considered as a Dvija, right?
Yes. See, by birth, anyone is by default one has the default status of being Shudra, but after Upanayana one becomes a Dvija. Now, to become a Dvija, this samskara of Upanayana and other Vaidika rituals is transferred by from one's forefathers. So that is why ancestry plays a role here. So those who completely become Shudras and have lost those samskaras, because as we explained previously, in even in the Vishnu Purana's translation also, I think it has been mentioned there that initially in Satyuga there was only one Varna, that is Brahmana or Hamsa. And later on, people fell down from that position due to their misdeeds or other actions which downgraded them. And those who abandoned all the Vaidika samskaras completely, their ancestors also lost that and they became ineligible to become Dvijas. So those people are the Shudras.
One more question, Bhrata. Yeah, today when I was reading Vishnu Purana Amsha, so actually yesterday also I was asking. In Guru Parampara, I saw there one picture where Hamsa Bhagwan was there, and then he gave knowledge to I think Brahma or
Yes.
may
Yes, Hamsa Bhagwan is the very root of the Sampradaya of the Pancharatrikas. He was the one who gave the knowledge of Pancharatra and other philosophies to Brahmadeva and he propagated them.
then Brahmadeva after sorry, old Brahmachari Sanak Sanandan, right, something. So we also can say in this way uh, Chatur Kumar Sampradaya also, is it right?
What do you mean?
Just like according to Padma Purana, four Sampradayas are there: Vaishnava Sampradaya,
We
Brahma
don't actually
Sampradaya.
accept that concept of four sampradayas as such. There is only one Guru Parampara for the Pancharatrikas, which originates from Brahmadeva, who actually it originates from Vishnu only, and he gave knowledge to Brahmadeva, and from Brahmadeva through all these rishis, it came down here, and from there actually there were multiple groups of different Vaishnavas, and that is how the different Vaishnava sampradayas of the Pancharatrikas came about.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, brother.
No problem. So, any more queries by anyone else?
Can we reading something if we have time?
Any thoughts, retrospections about yesterday's content? About what we discussed yesterday, does anybody have any? But I think there are yet some people to join.
I don't know, Guruji.
Okay. People who kind of spoke yesterday, actively participated yesterday, they have joined. Samarth, Vamshi, and all these people. Arthak, not Samarth, Samarth, sorry.
A few of them have joined, Guruji, but some others have not joined today.
Oh, Sunday is always a challenge, isn't it?
Yes, Guruji.
I was thinking, how about having a long session on Saturday instead of having another session on Sunday?
Yes, Guruji, that will also do.
Think about it. Because like joining everybody and to join at that point, that itself is an event. It takes certain level of universal will to happen. So
Yes, Guruji.
Madhvacharya's Abhramam Bhangarahita Majalam Vimalam Sada Ananda Tirth Matulam Bhajetapatra. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Madhvacharya's contribution to humanity is that he made humanity capable of becoming aware. He gave them an opportunity to become aware that the entire gamut of all the Veda Shastras are speaking the same truth. This had become otherwise very convoluted because we really didn't know, because before that they were saying, okay, there's Upanishads, and then people were interested in writing a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra because they wanted to establish their own schools. It's really very it's very important. It would be very useful to know the intellectual history of India. That how things have, what turns things have taken. But after Vedavyasa came and made such an elaborate system, such an elaborate arrangement for humanity to be able to comprehend Shastra. If Madhvacharya would not have come, most schools of thought, most people who dealt with philosophy before, they all were stiffened or constricted in many ways in their approaches. They almost intended to create a different, an imaginary world of their own. The bright light of the reality that there is one truth, that all the Shastra is guiding us. All the Shastra is guiding us, enabling us to be able to differentiate reality from illusion. This fact was never really made. This point was really never made. Like yesterday we were speaking that they, even in the Veda, they said that all of the Veda is not speaking the Paramasatya. And they had to make a gradation amongst the truths, saying that some of the truths that the Veda is speaking is absolutely true. The others are only transactionally true. So what happens then? Okay, so how do we differentiate? So they formed an opinion. They formed a structure of thought, a school of tenets, which will help them do that. So basically, the Veda Vakyas which said that there's only one entity that is existing and everything, all variety that you're seeing is only an illusion. All such Veda Vakyas, they only consider them as speaking the absolute truth. All the other Veda Vakyas are not absolutely true. It's a euphemism to say that they are only transactionally true, but ultimately the plain fact remains that you're saying that they are a bunch of lies. A bunch of lies. Lie. Because ultimately, if it's not absolutely true, it's a lie. So that being the understanding that only a few words and few sentences in the Vedas are absolutely true. What kind of a concordance, what kind of a, like you can never see the integrity of all the Shastras if they are communicating the same thing. So it was a very helpless condition for humanity. So I had even the best of scholars. They are renowned in the world as scholars. They are not people of some other profession getting into Shastra. When I as a student, when they spoke to me, because many of them, most of my teachers liked me as a student. So in their own confidence, they told me that I don't know if all these things, the devas and all these lokas, is it really true, or is it some kind of a vision that people get in like dhyana? So they shared such confusion, such dilemma that they had in accepting or not accepting what the Shastra is saying as literal truth. So most of them are left with confusion utterly. So it's only when Madhvacharya came that he made things very plainly clear that you don't have to resort to such constructs, which is ultimately a whole construct meant for when it comes to Mahabharata, of course, Mahabharata, the stories had become famous, people spoke about them, but then the status in terms of reality that they attributed to the Mahabharata that was under serious doubt because people had begun to doubt everything. Did it really happen, or are these just concoctions of the human mind? One thing that you see, that's why we say the prayer that we do to Madhvacharya is Abhramam Bhangarahitam Ajadam Vimalam Sada. Every of those words describe, we may not have seen Madhvacharya, we may not have seen him, but we see the nature of his conviction and the nature of his groundedness in truth, which makes these qualities very obvious in him, very obviously seen in him. Abhramam Bhangarahitam Ajadam Vimalam Sada Ananda Tirthamatulam Bhajetapatrayapahum. So much so that there's a famous verse in the Mahabharata which says, which apparently says that there are three different places where the Mahabharata can be seen to begin from. Manvadi Kechit Bruvate, Astikadi Tatha Pare, Uparicharadi Tathanyecha, Bharatam Parichakshate. So Manvadi Kechit Bruvate, people thought that what it is saying, this is a verse from the Mahabharata where Vedavyasa is speaking about the Mahabharata. So how people have understood this for eons, for thousands of years, people have understood this. Even the biggest minds of the past had thought that what Vedavyasa is saying is that maybe the Mahabharata begins from the story of Manu, Manvadi Kechit Bruvate, Astikadi Tathapare, or maybe from the story of Astika Muni, Uparicharadi Tathanyecha, or maybe from the story of the Uparichara Vasu. So where does Mahabharata actually begin from was the question of choice, apparently, to the author, which is very bizarre. It's quite absurd because of the author, wherever he has begun the book from, the very first words of the author are meant to mark the beginning of the book. It's not that you can regard the book as beginning from some arbitrary point. It's not like that. So people were not satisfied with that understanding, but they didn't know how to venture further into the meaning that is contained between the words, within the words. It was Madhvacharya who revealed for the first time that it's not that Vedavyasa is not sure about where the Mahabharata begins from. Rather, Mahabharata, the verse is describing three different dimensions in which the Mahabharata opens up, which are all very congenially linked with each other. They're inseparable. All these three dimensions they exist together. Manvadi means the symbolic understanding. Like when you say the 5 Pandavas, then it refers to the 5 senses. Kurukshetra can refer to the body that we are in. So like that, to understand things in a symbolic way, that is Manvadi, connected with a mind connected understanding of the Mahabharata. Not seeing them, not the physical. They are physical phenomena that have occurred, but then they have also a deeply intrinsic significance. That's because there is something called synchronicity that exists between the inner world and the outside world, which people of today's world are not. They are very at a serious disadvantage of not being aware of it. So that synchronicity is because there is such an inseparable connection between the inner and outer dimensions. So Manvadi Kechit Bruvate means that Mahabharata is capable of being understood in a totally symbolic way, and that doesn't demean the fact of its physical occurrence. Am I clear? Am I audible?
Yes, Guruji.
Then there is the Astika Adi Tatha Pare. Astika, of course, apparently it appears to be the name of the sage that we see in the Adi Parva of the Mahabharata regarding a sage called Astika, the son of Jaratkaru. But actually the one who stopped the Sarpayaga of Janamejaya. So, but Madhvacharya said, no, it's not the name of the sage that's being told here. What's being told here is Astika, is an intensified expression conveying the meaning of intensely. Astikate means astik, nastik. It's a common word that commonly is used. It's thrown around in the society. Hum nastik hai, hum astik hai. So what does astik? Asti iti. Kim asti? What is there? That whatever the Veda is saying is there. It is true. Veda is speaking reality. The ones who think like this are astikas. Nastikas are the ones who don't think like that. They say that there's nothing else other than what we see. So Astika is a one who has unflinching conviction that what the Veda is saying is true. It exists. So he is committed to Dharma because Veda Marga is Dharma Marga. So he sees Dharma. He doesn't think that Dharma is, you can turn it off when you want. It's not like that. Dharma is something, it's a fact that you have to reckon with. So he, in view of that, will live a dharmic life devoted to God and the cause that he is designed for, to be in nature. And such a person who has this conviction in an unflinching way and whose defense against anything that swerves him from that conviction is endless. Such a person is called Astika. Devotees of God, essentially people like the Pandavas, Vidura, all these people. So Astikadi Tathapare, Mahabharata can be seen as the story of the victory and the well-being, the way of the excellence of these people who are Astikas, who are devoted to Dharma, whose commitment to Dharma is unshakable. They are Astikas. So Mahabharata is seen as that story, a story of these great souls, Astika, Tathapare. Uparicharadi Tathanyecha. Another dimension, another way in which all of this, of course, they are all inseparably connected, all these dimensions. But the third way, it's the third dimension, the core dimension, is that it is Uparichara, Uparicharati Sarvesham, iti Uparichara, with meaning God himself, who is above everyone, Uparicharati. So that God, his qualities, everything that the Mahabharata is saying is to enumerate and describe one or the other quality of God, one or the other aspect of the natural characteristics of God, to understand God from his natural characteristics. So it is delineating, it's actually opening up and making us recognize that everything that's happening is an expression of one or the other quality of God. That is Uparicharadi Tathanyecha. Bharatam Parichakshate. Bharata can be understood, Mahabharata can be understood in any of these three ways. Remember, amongst these three ways, there are then several other ways of understanding and other ways of reasoning. Shatam Ritaya, hundreds of ways within these three ways. But on a very bird eye level, in a very vast way, you can see these three dimensions in which Mahabharata can be interpreted. This is what Madhvacharya explained, that this is the intention of Vedavyasa. I hope people are understanding what I'm trying to say. Am I clearly audible? And if there is any question, please feel free to ask.
One person has raised his hand. I think he has a query.
Yeah, please go ahead. What is it?
Pranam Guruji. Am I audible, Guruji? Hello.
Yeah, yes, you are audible. I mean, even if you are not audible to me, if Rajna listens to it, he will translate.
Yes, Guruji. Guruji, actually, it is said that, like you previously mentioned, that Mahabharata describes the qualities of Narayana. So, but in Bhagavata, it is said that by Narada Muni, it is said to Vedavyasa that you didn't describe the qualities of Lord sufficiently in Mahabharata. So now you take up the task of writing Bhagavata. So, like, how do we justify that thing?
Where is the contradiction? I mean, you yourself spoke so clearly. I don't see any contradiction there. You have not described the qualities of God sufficiently because the qualities of God are infinite. Each of the qualities are infinite. So it still
So,
remains that Mahabharata, every event, everything that is describing qualities of God.
so like I got the notion that Bhagavata. So that is applicable even to Bhagavata then. And like why he has to demean
No, we're
Mahabharata
not getting
and
it.
yeah.
Because sufficiently in the sense, to a level that Vedavyasa himself is satisfied.
Yes, Asha.
All the qualities of God can never be revealed in the human world.
So it just means that after Bhagavata, like Vyasa is satisfied. I mean, after composing Bhagavata, like he was satisfied. So is that the answer, Guruji?
So the thing is, Magnum Opus, the greatest book of Vedavyasa, even more than Bhagavata, it is Mahabharata.
So like again, it comes to the same point, Guruji. Like he says, you haven't described sufficiently. Now you do it in the Bhagavata. So
No,
I mean,
so
it seems
sufficient
like
means what? He might have described 80% of what he wanted to do. So sufficiently, another 20% has been remaining. Maybe that is put in the Bhagavata.
yes, Guruji. Yeah, it is like yeah, it is good to understand like that.
Just like not sufficiently described. Vedavyasa himself, he says, Kevalam Vishnu Param. There are meaning. The Mahabharata's meaning is ultimately Vedavyasa says that I've composed it Kevalam Vishnu Param.
Yes, Guruji. Yeah.
So yeah, satisfied means of course he can never describe everything. Even what he wanted to describe in the human world,
Yes,
that
Guruji.
he felt that it was still pending.
Okay.
Just like that. Yeah.
Yes, Guruji. Yeah, that clarifies. Fine.
Like that. Madhvacharya, from quotations from the works of Vedavyasa only, Madhvacharya makes a point that Mahabharata is, you can call it Panchama Veda. And in some sense, Madhvacharya says that it is even you could speak of it as being even better than the Veda, because in the Veda, when we engage with the Veda, we understand based on the intellect of our Guru, and ultimately based on our intellect, whatever we understand. But in the Mahabharata, there are meanings of the Veda. When God looks at the Veda, how does he see it? There are certain aspects which only he sees. Now that what only he sees also got expressed when he wrote the Mahabharata, in the Mahabharata. So in that way, in a way that it is available to us, he sees it, he wants by us. And he has done that in the Mahabharata. So although the Veda is the highest, when we look at the Veda, even things that we don't see is made to be seen by us by God when he wrote the Mahabharata. Is that clear?
Yes, Guruji. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, the way it is. Clear, Guruji.
Any other question?
Guruji, regarding Apaurushayatva, am I audible, Guruji?
Yes.
Yeah, regarding the Apaurushayatva of Veda, like, I mean, there is some Purvapaksha from Vaishnavas, so who say that Apaurushayatva is a term coined by Brahmana for their control on the society. So, like, how do we answer such a Purvapaksha, Guruji?
I did not understand. What is the Purvaksha?
Mainly by the
Regarding,
non-Hindus, Guruji, that the idea of Vedas being Apurushaya was made up by Brahmins just to establish dominance over society.
so this is a Purvapaksha from Westerners, like Western scholars, Guruji. Like, how do we, like, what is the Madhva stance on this? How can we tackle that Purvapaksha?
I mean, you can show them that if the Brahmins ultimately made the Vedas, it is not that there was one community all knit together called the Brahmin community. First of all, you have to note that Utkala Brahmins are different, Kashmiri Brahmins are different.
Yes, Guru. Yes, Guru. So, like, their clear argument is that Apaurushayatva is termed by Mimamsakas. I mean, wherever they belong to. So, Mimamsakas against.
The point that I'm making is that it's not that all the Brahmanas are knit together as a community. They all are having their own regional differences,
Yes,
even
Guru.
in the way of their implementation of Shastra. Somebody will do his Achaman in a different way. If you go to, say, coastal Karnataka, the Achamana that they do in the plateaus is different.
Yes, Guru.
And so let us say that some Brahmin committee decided to write all this and call it Apaurushaya. What would be the means of them to communicate it to every other Brahmin community that is there all around the country and make them accept that?
I mean, like, we can, it is not their paksha, but I can just imagine from their side and say that, with the help of kings and other people, they broadcasted it all over India.
Okay.
So, if this is the Purvapaksha, the next Purvapaksha, like, how would be our reply, Guruji?
No, but it doesn't make sense, right? Because if I would write something like that,
Yes, Guru.
I would make sure that I don't have to take any trouble in my life. Why would I make rules for myself that I have to take bath 3 times a day and all that? Am I crazy?
Yes, Guru. Yeah, this is. Yes.
Like if I had the authority, I'm honestly telling you, seriously, if I have the opportunity to make the book,
Yes, Guru.
I would make it in such a way that things are very cool for me, man.
Yeah. Like, we can dominate entirely without any responsibility.
Yeah. I would also go to the extent of saying that I kill somebody, I don't get to punish. I don't get to be punished.
Only Brahmanas get spared, others get punished. Yeah. Yes, Guru.
No. Like, it's not, even I can see, Brahmanas get spared, but you know that story, right? When even in the Mahabharata it occurs that when a person who is knowledgeable does a crime, he is considered as a greater criminal.
Sorry, Guruji, I cannot. Can you repeat, Guruji?
When a person who is knowledgeable does a crime, it is considered as a greater criminal. He is considered a greater criminal.
He has intentionally done it and knowingly that it is a sin, but still he has done it, so he is a greater.
There is a level of behavior that is expected from him. Krishna tells Arjuna that this is not expected from you.
Okay, yes, Guru. Anarya, yes, Guru.
Naitatvayupapadyate. This doesn't gel. This doesn't suit you.
Yes, Guru. Yes.
So the more it is unexpected, the more the gravity, the seriousness of the crime.
Yes, Guru.
So why would they say, like for example, Kshatriya doesn't get any. If they have to make such a theory, I would say I would give them a suggestion that don't tell Brahmins did it. Tell that Kshatriyas did it.
Yes, Guru.
Because Kshatriyas get to drink, they get to eat meat, and then still they are adhikaris of the Veda, and they can do. They literally like they can do what they want.
Yes, Guru.
Not
Yes,
literally what they want. Still, they also have to do Sandhya Vandana at the proper time. They also have all the waking up, all these rules, everything. Why would anyone make such rules for themselves?
yes, Guru. Yes, Guru.
If somebody, and it's not easy, you live a proper life as per the prescription of the Dharma Shastra, you'll go crazy. I mean, I don't think even the people of today are even capable of living like that.
Yes, Guru. Yes, Guru.
But why would somebody do that? That's
Yes,
the.
Guruji. It's a kalpana by Vaishnavas, but like I mean, I just wanted to know like what will be the befitting
No,
reply.
I don't see. One thing you remember, don't try to give rebuttals to everybody. Because you may not be able to answer them. But we can only answer ourselves.
Yes, Guruji. I mean, like this is an akshepana, Guruji. So like I just wanted to know how to clarify for myself.
Correct. This Akshepa, we have to look for an answer for it so that we are convinced. I don't think we can convince a person who is hard bent upon, not accepting it.
Yes, Guruji, but I just want to convince myself. Like I mean, the akshepa by him. So like when it creates doubt in me. So I just wanted to. I mean, you are true that we cannot convince such person, but yeah, for the
Yeah.
sake of convincing. Yes, Guruji.
So I think, yeah. So, see, if it's the Brahmins who did it, then you know that if a Brahmin drinks alcohol,
Yeah. Yes, Guruji.
then you know what is the punishment for that in the Dharma Shastra? How does he get purified,
No, Guruji.
By death rate, Guruji.
He has to drink lava.
Yeah, he has to drink molten glass.
Okay.
Or he has to jump from a mountain head down into the fire.
Yes,
Otherwise,
Guruji.
he'll be ostracized from the society. You won't. I have seen Brahmins now who know when they came to know that somebody of their student or somebody whom they are associating has drunk at some time by mistake also, then they will ostracize them from the community that they are not fit to take part in any of the.
Yes, Guruji. Yes.
Why would a community make such rules for themselves?
That is good logic, bro. Guruji. Yeah, that is good.
There are many other logic, but this is something that directly any sensible person would feel that
Yes, Guruji.
you give me if I get a chance to make a book, why would I make something that would put me in trouble?
Yes, Guruji. Yes.
I should be able to do whatever I want.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Guruji, but still, I wanted to stretch it little. Like it can just, I mean, they created rules for themselves so that society may not doubt them. So I mean, it's not their Purva Paksha. I just wanted to stretch little.
Good, but then we see that they followed it.
So that society doesn't question them.
But why would society question them if they would make the rule itself in such a way that there is no room for questioning?
I mean, like the first Purva Paksha, like if you say Brahmanas are free from all the rules, so like people may think, I mean, people are also little intelligent, so they will question like, what is this? What is going on like this? I mean, like the social reformers of 18th century.
Okay, but why are the rules so strict, so stringent for the Brahmana? For the Brahmana to eat food also, there's so many things which have to be taken care of.
Yes, Guru. Yes, Guru. Yes.
He has to take a bath, he has to change his clothes, he has to wash his feet, he has to do the achamana, then he has to sit in a proper way. He can't talk in between. Why so many rules are there? Don't they? People who object that, I don't think they have even ever tried to live like what a Brahmana lives.
Yes, Guru. I mean, like, but they are very ready to, I mean, give these statements. Yeah, these are to be thought, Guru. Yes, sir. I mean, there is a Western, scholar. So he was Pollock. So he
What?
was a guy. There was a Western scholar, Pollock Guruji. So like
Okay.
these are the Purupakshas from him, his side.
Ah.
So he was funded by Narayan Murthy, the IT guy. So he was funded by Narayan Murthy to translate all the Vedic corpus into English.
Oh.
So, so like he was the person. I mean,
Hmm.
so this is his background, but he was given the funds to do all these things.
Mhm.
So, but this like he has all these Purupakshas in his mind. He's a Westerner, but
But IT guy Narayan Murthy, he has a company which is good at recruiting people, no?
like I heard in one lecture, Guruji, that Rajiv Malhotra, so he was accusing Narayan Murthy that he was, I mean, he made a petition that this person should not be translating our Vedic corpus, like so, keeping such things in his mind. So he just wanted to
Exactly.
convey that.
That's why I'm asking. Infosys, is it good at recruitment, or does it is it really bad?
Yeah, it may be subjective answer. I mean, I don't have any personal experience, but it may be subjective.
But what do people generally say? Reliance is good or Infosys is good? Good at recruitment.
I have no idea, Guruji. I don't have any idea.
Taking from this that Narayan Murthy recruited that kind of a guy and gave him funds to translate, I think Infosys should actually suck at recruiting.
Yes, Guru.
That's a very bad choice, right? Yeah.
Yes, Guru. Yes, Guru.
Fine. I think there was one important point that was made today. Around that, there were a few things that came up. Please take this into consideration that Madhvacharya showed us a way how to understand the importance of the entire Vedic gamut and see that all of them are speaking the same truth. And they don't become redundant because of that, because every Shastra takes us to that ultimate truth in a path that is unique in the sense that they're all it's the same path, but then the different occurrences in the universe, different aspects of understanding are all explored to different depths in different shastras, but then it's what is shown, what is made clear is that all of this leads to that same one absolute God's qualities. So, yeah. And regarding the Mahabharata, which I just wanted to emphasize how the contribution of Madhvacharya is very significant for the humanity's betterment and understanding of Mahabharata, of life. And from many such instances, like how that was one such instance. If you go through the books of Madhvacharya, you will find hundreds of such instances where things which were grossly misunderstood until recently, and it's very ridiculous how that such a gross mistake can be made. But once you know the truth, it appears ridiculous that people could be so grossly mistaken for such vast periods of time. Just like the verse that I just mentioned, Asti kaditaha pare uparicharaditaha nyecha. I think I'll have to close at this because today I have a few things to attend. But thank you all for participating in this. It has been a pleasure to have a short discussion regarding these things. But I think if you, even although it's a short discussion, the points that are mentioned in this short discussion, if you take note of them and if you start taking them into account, then I think it will form a very strong foundation for you to explore into the darshana of India, of Bharata. Fine, Tanya. I would have to log out.
Okay, Guruji.
Any question? Somebody asked the question, or somebody just joined?
Someone just joined, Guruji.
But I would suggest that if you could stay connected for another 5-10 minutes, and if there are any queries and questions, if you could answer, or even if you could clarify what we just spoke, I think it would be of help to the people.
Yes, Guruji.
Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Achyutananda Govinda, Achyutananda Govinda, Achyutananda Govinda. I'll take leave. We'll meet again next week. Hare Ram.
Hare Rama, Guruji.
Yeah.
So, any further queries by anyone here?
Bhrata, I have one request. On our one channel we have Achyuta Bhakti Deeds. So on that channel, can you post some Acharya's pastime or something? So that is very interesting, and it's like a Bhagavad Katha. So can you post something? So it will be very interesting and very uh, enjoyable. So please post something if we have
Post what exactly?
some Acharya's pastime, just like I can say uh, Bhagavad Pad Madhvacharya's biography, and Vadiraj Tirtharu's pastimes, Raghavendra Tirtharu pastimes, so many pastimes of Acharyas. So just pastimes only.
Sure, we will think about that. Any query, Manjunath?
Hare Rama, Anna.
Hare Rama.
Am I audible to you?
Yes.
Anna, actually, I would like to ask you one question. Actually, in Telugu state, one big topic going on. That is that do we. So that's why I'm asking a question related to us actually.
What is it?
Do we accept that Rama did Linga Pratishtha?
Yes, we Madhvas very much accept that.
Yeah. So my friend told me that we don't accept. So I said I will confirm and I will tell you. Okay, thank you. Anna.
Vijayendra Tirtharu has written that in Shaiva Sarvasva Kandanam, and we published that on our website long back, almost 2 years back.
Oh, Anna, so even Srimadacharya did Chaturmasya, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, Anna. Thank you, Anna. Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Srinivasa brother.
Hare Srinivasa.
So you mentioned that in the Satya Yuga only Brahmanas were there, right? So what about kings? Were they also considered as Brahmanas?
There were no kings or traders or anyone else. There was no need for them only. No, all the resources were conserved on their own, and there were no adharmis only. So there was no need to protect anyone or for any administration also. The description of Satya Yuga in the Puranas is only like that.
Okay, brother. So in Satya Yuga, don't the Shastras mention some kings in the Satya Yuga, like Prithu Maharaja?
That can be interpreted as the transition period after the end of Satya Yuga to Treta Yuga, maybe.
Oh, okay, brother. Thank you.
some vidwans opine that in Satyuga, actually there is a disputed opinion over this. So there are some vidwans who go with this paksha that in Satyuga there were people of all four varnas also, but they were like brahmanas. Or some people also believe that people had the choice to choose whatever varna they wanted to practice, and everyone did it perfectly. Though these two don't really make that much sense in my opinion, as far as I've seen the Shastras and the opinions of our Purvacharyas also. So, nonetheless, we could suppose that it simply refers to the fact that at the end of Satyuga, before Treta Yuga began, because there's a transition period called a Sandhya. This is
Yes, brother.
described in the Vishnu Purana translation, which we released recently. So, during that time, maybe we could suppose those kings were there.
Okay, brother. Thank you.
So, any further queries? So, if there aren't any more queries, I guess we can end the session here. Yes, what is it? Please tell us.
Just apart from the discussions of the Bhishma Chakra and other, the one point you mentioned, Prabhu, was that the Madhvacharya stands on the other sampradayas. So, can you please elaborate that? I mean, what's the Madhva stands means Madhva Sampradaya stands on other sampradayas which adhere to the Pancharatrika Vidhi.
Obviously, we will consider them to be somewhat close to our philosophy, but obviously there are major philosophical differences, so we will disagree with their philosophy. Same is the case with almost all the sampradayas.
But if Madhvas were given a choice between those who follow the monotheism and those who follow means basically adhere to the Pancharatrika Vidhi, so definitely means one would be means one would be won't it be means will they deny that those means other than the Madhvas, those following the Pancharatri are monotheists? Is that the case?
Could you elaborate what you mean exactly?
Sorry, I just fumbled. I mean to say that if Madhvas were given a choice between a monotheist, means those who follow the Advaita path, and
All
those who follow the
the darshanas are
Pancharatrika Vidhi.
monotheistic only. Even Vaishnavism or Pancharatra for that matter. All the
Uh, uh,
philosophies believe in only one God.
yes, I mean I mean the Mayavad in specific. Those who claim to be Advait. That means in the modern term. That's what I mean. Means Shankara basically. If Madhvas were given a choice between the Shankara and the Vaishnava other than Madhva, whom they would say close. That means whom they would most be familiar with.
Definitely Vaishnavas only, because Smartas reject the very Pancharatra Agamas only, which are the core of Vaishnavism.
Acha. Means in one sense, Madhvas consider other sampradayas bona fide too, right?
Depends on how you define bona fide exactly. Means the Guru Parampara and the root of the philosophy is the same, but again the
Acha.
philosophies will vary, so there will be philosophical differences.
Acha. But like for example, if you take Sri Sampradaya, what's Madhva stance on that? Because I have seen I have read there were many debates between these two sampradayas.
Definitely.
Though they all conclude that Vishnu is supreme, but still there were differences.
Vishnu
So
Paratva is just one of the few things which are common to all the Vaishnava Sampradayas. But
acha.
other than that, there are several topics and several philosophical concepts, and even doing with the Sadachara of the followers of the Sampradayas also. Here, there are all different stances only.
Acha. But isn't means even in principles, isn't the principle that means Hari is the supreme, is the prime one?
Yeah, that is common. There are
Acha.
certain things, especially which you find in the Agamas, which will be common to all the Sampradayas, but on other topics, there will be multiple variations and differences.
Acha. Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Shri Charan, you have any queries?
Harainama.
Hare Rama.
So regarding Guru Parampara, so we have Durvasa Muni before, much before Madhvacharya.
Yes.
So I have seen one chart of Guru Parampara. So like why there are only, I don't know, like when did Durvasa Muni initiate his disciple according to Madhva Parampara? Is it in Kali Yuga or Satya Yuga?
This was in during sometime in Treta Yuga, if I remember correctly, or this was mostly just before Kali Yuga began. Because in between there were times when the philosophy of Pancharatra was out of practice for some time, and again it was revived by Bhagwan's avatars. So at that time, Hamsa appeared probably in the Dwapara Yuga, if I remember correctly.
So like you mean to say Durvasa Muni initiated in around Kali Yuga beginning time
Before
period.
that, actually.
Before that, okay. So like we can see a large gap, right? So I was just wondering like how to balance it.
Yeah, the remaining part of the Guru Parampara is actually unknown because they were not very prominent gurus.
Sorry.
The part in between which you're saying, which has gaps in between, that is because of those gurus who were not that prominent.
Okay, but still we are having what do you call avichinna parampara.
What exactly do you mean by that?
Avichinna means unbroken parampara.
Yeah, that is there. That is obviously there.
Okay, but you just mean to say we don't know who are those people.
Yeah, that is not very well recorded and remembered as of now. That's all.
Okay, so the present parampara which we see, so like in which grantha can I find this list?
I'm not sure which grantha states this, but this may be there in the maybe the 15th or 16th century Madhva granthas, because these Guru Paramparas, they are just recorded in documents of the matas, and every mata has a different Guru Parampara. Till Sri Madhvacharya it is common. After that there are variations actually for almost every mata.
Yeah. There are various.
So the parampara which we have published is the one of Vyasaraja mata.
Okay. So like it is not mentioned in any grantha, but it's just a record, right?
No, it's there in certain granthas.
It's there, but not not from Madhvacharya.
No, Madhvacharya's granthas do not mention that.
Okay.
Though he does mention that he does quote the shlokas mentioning how Pancharatra philosophy was propagated, and he always has declared Vyasadeva as his guru. But his Diksha guru was Achyuta Prajna Tirtha.
Yeah, that is known. But I was just wondering like the people above. So
yeah.
So like even Jaitirtha Acharya and Vyasatirtha, they didn't mention about the parampara.
I don't think so, but I'm not well versed with their work, so can't say anything.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Manjunath, any queries? So if no one has any more queries, I guess we can end the session for today. Yes, what is it, Manjunath?
Am I audible to you?
Yes.
Anna, my question is regarding to Panchatra. In Panchatra mentioned only we should worship Hari like that. So I heard from you already once. You told me that there are several Devata worship also in Panchatra.
Yes.
So so what I understood is all Vaishnavas only worship some devatas and worship Vishnu only some. So only Madhvas worship entirely, na?
Yeah, basically, you mean to say how Sri Vaishnavas and few others practice Sharanagati and they don't worship any other devatas other than specific avatars of Vishnu, no?
But in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said only Bhakti Yoga, not Sharanagati. Sharanagati combined with Bhakti, right?
Yeah, that is a part of Bhakti. No, I'm asking your question is that why do Shri Vaishnavas believe all that and we Madhvas differ from them and we worship other devatas, but Shri Vaishnavas and few others don't do anything, don't worship any devatas other than Vishnu. That is your question, right?
Yeah, like if we say we are Pancharatra people, we should take entirely, right? That's what my question.
Yes, definitely. This is actually one place where we differ from the Shri Vaishnavas. So they actually they quote those statements which especially in the Mahabharata you will find many such statements that a Vaishnava or an Ekantika Bhakta should worship only Shri Vishnu and should consider him as his Ashraya and should be fully devoted to him with bhakti. Now, this doesn't mean that this doesn't actually negate the fact that one can still worship other devatas, because we always worship our gurus. So many devatas have to be worshipped. So what those shlokas mean by saying that one has to surrender exclusively to Shri Vishnu only, because in the Mahabharata especially there is one shloka which Madhvacharya himself quoted. Tesham ekantinaha, there's one shloka like that. So that comes in the Moksha Dharma Parva actually, in the context of explaining what kind of people worship Shri Krishna and who are the best. So he says those who do not resort to other devatas are the best. But now this doesn't literally mean that one shouldn't worship them at all or should stay away from them. That's not what it means. It means that one should not consider them as Bhagwan or the Supreme Being, or be fully devoted to them thinking that they will give moksha or aparoksha jnana and all that. One should be devoted fully to Bhagwan, that is Shri Vishnu, and one should also do seva of Brahma, Vayu and all the other devatas.
Anna, but Ramanujacharya in his Bhashya, fourth chapter, 11th sloka commentary, he said Shiva, Saivas worship Shiva as Vishnu, like that. He said like that. And even Annamacharya written said that Shaivas see you as a Shiva, and Shaktas see you as a Shakti, like that. He said like that in
The
one
context
song.
of that statement is important, and more than that, basically what it means is that the supreme being is one, though many people will identify Paramatma by their respective Ishtadeva. They will say that my Ishtadeva is Paramatma, like that. But that doesn't literally mean that Shiva or Durga Devi, they are all Paramatma. It just means that other philosophies, followers of the other philosophies will hold such opinions, but ultimately all worship comes from and goes to Vishnu only, because he is the actual Bhagwan and Paramatma and the Sarvantaryami of all the devatas. So in the Mahabharata's Moksha Dharma Parva, just after describing the greatness of Pancharatra, again Sri Madhvacharya quoted this shloka also in the Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya's second adhyaya. So there Brahma himself says, Mama Antaryami, Tava Antaryami, Sarvadehinaha, which means that Shri Vishnu is the Antaryami or the indweller of all the, of you, me, all the embodied beings. So that is what it actually means.
So, is it Rudrantargata Bharati Ramana Mukhya Prana
Yeah,
Antargata
that is what
Sankarshnaya
it
Namaha?
means.
Exactly, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, Anna, got it.
Any more queries? Please unmute and ask.
Regarding the deity, means regarding the worship of other demigods, like in chapter 9 verse 23, Krishna himself says that means api anya devata bhakta bhajanti avidhi purvakam, right? So therefore it can be taken as that not necessary, it's not necessary to worship other demigods, right? He's saying directly. So how do Madhva means, how do you interpret this? Means your sampradaya.
Basically that does if you see it, it clearly says with bhakti. Now bhakti is to be practiced only towards Shri Vishnu. That is what, as we said already, surrendering or resorting to Bhagwan as one's ultimate goal or sadgati, that can be done, that should be done only to Bhagwan. Now this doesn't mean that they shouldn't be worshipped at all. See, just like we worship our gurus or we praise them, that doesn't mean that we are equating them to Bhagwan or we are doing something wrong as such. So same is the case here with the devatas, except they are greater than all the human beings. and as we go higher in the Taratamya or the hierarchy, there are the higher devatas deserve more worship and they're more worship worthy. But again, at the same time, finally we should always keep it in mind that what we should obtain is bhakti towards Sri Vishnu and aparoksha jnana, and we should do it with proper knowledge of the Taratamya. Does it make it clear?
So if one like the Sri Sampradaya's concept of Sharanagati, if one exclusively devotes to Sri Hari and the incarnation of Sri Hari, is it not automatically all the Taratamyas means the Devatas are satisfied because they are subservient to Hari, right? So if Hari is satisfied, automatically they become satisfied. Any exclusive effort is it required? Means
yes,
right,
it is
right. The
partially
paribhasha.
required. It's partially required from the point of view of the Madhva Sampradaya, because the thing is, we cannot achieve that on our own. Simply worshipping Sri Vishnu and attaining aparoksha jnana is difficult. We obviously, even to learn the Shastras only, we need our Guru's help. So we can't do that on our own. So similarly, we need the help of the Devatas also for additional benefits. So it's possible without their help also, but it's extremely tedious and almost impossible in this age, especially when aparoksha jnana, obtaining aparoksha jnana is more difficult now.
Sure. But then again the same discussion comes there in chapter 8. Means the last conclusive chapters of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says means that surrender only unto me. So means will it not be minimizing means Lord Hari that exclusive devotion to him can't grant you all the necessities required for
yes, as
whatever
we said already, that is what it means. I mean, surrendering to him is what we should do, but we shouldn't surrender to other devatas. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't worship them.
Sure. A similar verse comes in Bhagavatam, where Narad Muni explains that even if one follows all the Vedic rites, what gain does he have? Means what gain does he achieve if he if he does not develop surrender to Lord Hari? And even if one does not fulfill all the Vedic rites but surrenders to Hari, all his life is successful then. So it comes in the first canto, I guess. I don't remember exactly the verse number. So what about that?
That is pretty much saying the same thing. Basically, it depends on the intention of the person. For example, if you give a knife to a murderer, what will he do?
He will surely stab people.
Yeah, and if you give the same blade to a surgeon, what will he do?
Yeah, he'll help people recover.
Yeah, so same is the case here. Anything, literally any of the Shastras can be used by anyone to achieve what they want, depending on their swabhava, whether they are sattvic people, rajasic people, or tamasic people.
Mm-hmm.
So same is the case here. If they're materialistic and if they don't, even if they fail to totally understand that bhakti is one's ultimate purpose, and even after learning so many Shastras, it's just futile. Learning the Shastras just becomes a total waste, because they'll still be stuck in samsara. They'll be just having material benefits here and there, and they'll be stuck in that cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So same is the case here. So if one worships those devatas with the intention that they want bhakti towards Sri Vishnu and they want help in progressing in their sadhana, it will benefit them definitely. But if they get stuck there and think those devatas are only the independent beings, they are only the supreme beings, and if they only focus on worshipping them without any bhakti towards Sri Vishnu, then they'll slowly have a downfall. That's why the Ishavasya Upanishad actually says that in the 9th mantra, I think, that those who worship the Asambhuti as Sambhuti, that is the non-independent beings as independent, they will go to Andhantamas actually.
But considering that, just speculation maybe, Prabhu, that considering the time we have, if we devote considering the time people in Kali Yuga have, if we devote time to the other deities, we won't be left with any time to specifically devote to Hari. That's the question, because life
that is why
is
we
not
shouldn't
running,
be devoted to them. That's the purport of all those shlokas. We shouldn't be devoted to them as such, but we should have bhakti towards Sri Vishnu only, and we should have that knowledge all the time in our mind. And even when we pray to them also, when we worship them, we should pray only for help in our sadhana, so that we can improve ourselves. So that ultimately every action which we do, eating, sleeping also, as said by Swamiji in the previous sessions, that we should have that aparoksha jnana and we should apply that knowledge practically, that we should remember Bhagwan through all our actions. So same is the case with worshipping the devatas also.
Okay. Thank you, bro.
May I say something?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Actually, what I understood is like every body part have Abhimani Devatas and they allow us to do sadhana. That's why we worship their Antargata Narayan.
Yes, that
Am
is
I
also
right?
there. Because those devatas are the divine beings who preside over different organs and objects of the organs of our body, and even the physical elements which we see here. So it is also basically gratitude towards them and recognizing their roles also, just as we respect our gurus and other people. Shri Charan, any queries?
I just wanted to add a thing to the discussion. Like he mentioned that shloka Avidhi Purvakam. So like what I understood is there is Avidhi Purvaka Devata Puja and Vidhi Purvaka Devata Puja.
Yes.
So in this shloka, Krishna is denying only the Avidhi part of Devata Puja, not the Vidhi part. Because
Yes.
if we see the Yagna
What
Chakra
he
itself,
means is that worshipping them by exclusively being mentally devoted to them is Avidhi Purvaka, because the real Vidhi or the Tatparya of all the Shastras is, as said in the Anushasana Parva of the Mahabharata, Adhyaya 187, Shloka number 13, if I remember correctly. Alodya Sarva Shastrani Vicharyacha Punaha Punaha Idam Ekam Sunishpannam Dhyayo Narayanaha Sada, which means aggregating all the Shastras, this one conclusion is that you should always meditate on Narayana.
yeah.
So same is the case here also.
Like even in
mentions
okay, no issues.
Krishna mentions Devata Puja even in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and it is a duty of Vaishya in the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and even in the Bhagavata. So there are certain duties like we have to worship Devatas.
Yeah, during basic rituals, all the Dvijas at least have to worship the Devatas. During Sandhya Vandana only, so many Devatas are mentally worshipped, because there are prayers which we have to chant for that.
So
but according to Madhvacharya, Prabhu, that Devatas are the names of the Devatas are epithets of Hari only, right? So
yes,
superficially we may chant the name, but it specifically means to Hari, right?
No, here in this context, it's not referring to Sri Vishnu only. It's referring to ultimately everything goes to Sri Vishnu only, but here it is through those Devatas.
I think it means to both, right? Because
yes,
even
both.
Lord Vishnu, he gives the Yagnaphala to the Devatas.
Yes.
So it is not like we are worshipping only Vishnu and considering Devatas as not worshipable.
Yes. Then what about this verse of 927 that yat karoshi yat ashnashi yat johoshi dadashi yat? Specifically, Krishna says that whatever you are, even if you worship for me, right? Yat tapasyasi kunte yat karushva madarpanam. What about that?
Yeah. Where does it say you shouldn't do Devata Aradhana? Where does that sloka deny Devata Aradhana?
Maybe I don't know. Therefore I'm asking. That's my confusion.
See, if we did not have to worship those Devatas at all, the Shastras would directly give us prayers only to worship Sri Vishnu directly. They would never give prayers, especially the Vedas. You will find so many suktas which praise Bhagwan through those Devatas as their Antaryami. Now that wouldn't make any sense. Directly as our own Antaryami or as the Antaryami of some Ruju Devata only, we could worship Sri Vishnu. So obviously that's there for a reason.
But I read somewhere that Madhvacharya is explaining that in the sense ki,
not Madhvacharya.
Sorry, Prabhu. Madhvacharya is explaining that it's a paroksha bhava, means the Hari means likes in indirect praises. So therefore, it has been means the suktas or different devatas are mentioned the Vedas.
Mainly it's because it's a way of worshipping those devatas also, because again their grace is also required for us, because we are subordinate to them, no? That's why.
Okay.
I mean, it is also said that without worshipping devatas you cannot get moksha. I mean, along with Hari, they have to be considered as parivara and then they have to be worshipped along with Hari. Then only will be eligible for moksha.
For us
Even
to
if you,
obtain aparoksha jnana, yes, at least for us it is required.
I mean,
Theoretically, one
I
could
think
do
this
it
is from
without that also, but practically that won't work.
Okay, okay.
Anna, even in Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya, Acharya said, and even Brahma Sutra mentioned, I guess, that all names belongs to Srihari, and he gave names to devatas, how they act and their post.
Yeah, he didn't
So,
mention that. He just quoted those shlokas from the Puranas and even one mantra from the Vishwakarma Sukta of the Rigveda.
so by calling their names actually, so calling them also, and their Antargata Narayana also.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that is correct.
That is. And I think regarding that another Bhagavata shloka also, it is not condemning dharma at all. It is condemning only that dharma which is not offered to Bhagavan.
Yes, definitely.
So, so like I mean, he didn't quote the shloka, but this is what actually shloka says. It doesn't condemn any dharma, but it condemns the dharma when it is not offered to Bhagavan. So it
Anna,
doesn't.
even in Ignas, we should worship devatas. So Ignas means not only fire Igna, right?
Yeah, in multiple rituals, if you take, even in the agamas, you have methods to worship Bhagwan through water, through air, so many things. So if you in any of those, you are dependent on those materials also to worship Bhagwan. Without Agni, you can't worship Bhagwan through a yajna. So that's why they also deserve worship, because they are the medium through which we are able to practice our rituals.
Then even Bharata Maharaja does this in Bhagavata. So he does yagna and he offers all the sacrifices to devatas, thinking them as angas of Vishnu.
Yes, that
So
is what should be done.
that is also there. Yeah, yeah.
That awareness should be there in us when we do that. Otherwise, it will become Rajasika or Tamasika also sometimes.
Yeah. So like I just want to say there is no denial of Devata Puja or Devata
Yes,
Yagna.
even the Agamas also, they literally prescribe how to and where to install vigrahas of Shiva, Parvati, Skanda, and other
Yeah,
devatas, and the Navagrahas, so many devatas. Now, this obviously is there for a reason. Now,
yes,
the
yes.
same Agamas and the same Mahabharata Puranas also mention that we should surrender only to Sri Vishnu and be devoted exclusively to him. And they themselves mention all these.
Yes,
So,
yes.
obviously, we should interpret that without contradiction.
Yeah, yeah. Perfect.
Every Vaidika devata should be worshipped, right? Anna?
Yes, definitely. So, any more queries? So if that is it, then we can end here for today, and we'll probably have the next session next week. It's a bit uncertain, so we will mention in our groups and update everyone accordingly whether the session will be there or not. Shubhratri, Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Achyutaya Namaha, Anantaya Namaha, Govinda.